Just started, yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We are going to start rolling in just a minute. Give a minute for people to start joining in. I see people are joining in. So good morning, good afternoon, whatever the case might be, depending upon your time zone. We'll get going in a second. But I'm Rohit Mathur, co-founder of FieldWorker. And along with me, I have Sunny Nair, lead of our customer success team, and Ann Murtha, our senior account executive. And we are so excited to have you join us today for this panel discussion with the Emmanuel Cancer Foundation. At FieldWorker, we are so proud to support incredible organizations which are making a real difference in people's lives. And Emmanuel Cancer Foundation is a shining example. And today, we have the honor of speaking with Dina Milne, Director of Social Work at ECF. Dina has dedicated over 25 years to helping children and families in crisis, with deep experience in counseling, crisis intervention, and health coaching. She's here to share her journey, the impact of Emmanuel's work, and how their team uses FieldWorker to serve more families more efficiently. So we'll explore many topics today in our panel discussion. What it takes to support families facing a pediatric cancer diagnosis, specific use case for Dina Milne's organization, but from a case management perspective applicable to our audience and so many other people. How technology can help amplify human-centered care and the impact that case management organizations can have. And what some of you in the audience and other case management organizations can learn from ECF's approach. So we'll have time for Q&As at the end as well, but feel free to drop your questions in the panel, in the Q&A or chat box to us, and we are happy to answer them as we go along, or take them at the end, whatever works for you. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to Sunny Nair, who's going to start the conversation with Dina. And again, Dina, thank you so much for being here. And we are really looking forward to hearing your insights. So Sunny, over to you. And what I'm going to do is, take over from here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rohit, and good afternoon, everybody. And thank you so much, Dina, for doing this. I think we could start off with a bit of a background, right? If you could give me just a walkthrough of your journey through social work, what inspired you to dedicate your career to this field, as well as what specifically drew you towards Emmanuel Cancer Foundation and its mission. So a bit of information about that would really help to kickstart.
Sure. First, thank you all for having me. My name is Dina Milne. I'm the Director of Social Work at the Emmanuel Cancer Foundation. And I started my career in social work, in 1993. So it's been a long time.
A
long time. I've been involved in many different aspects of social work, starting with the child welfare system and moving to adoption. And ultimately, I found myself in a position of being the parent of a child with cancer and taking time away from work to care for her, and also at the same time caring for an ailing parent. And I saw an ad for a social worker at Emmanuel Cancer Foundation and thought, well, that would be an interesting fit. And I was hired, and I started out as a caseworker there and eventually worked my way up. And now I'm the Director of Social Work. So I have the privilege of working directly with families, but also supervising our 20 caseworkers. And I say caseworkers rather than social workers because we have a mix of social workers and licensed counselors as well.
Counselors. Okay. Yes, thank you for that, Dina. And in terms of services that ECF provides to, pediatric cancer patients and their families, if we could go through a small list of the different services that ECF provides currently.
Sure,
Yes,
sure. So, like many other pediatric cancer organizations, ECF provides emergency financial assistance, and material assistance. And by material assistance, I mean, um, help with clothing or food. We have a food pantry, so a lot of our families receive monthly, groceries, things like that. We also provide birthday gifts, holiday gifts, things of that nature. What really sets us apart, though, is our counseling service.
yes,
Very few organizations offer that. We offer in-person counseling and virtual counseling, which kind of was born out of COVID when, everything used to
yes,
be in person, and then like everyone else, we had to adapt. And it actually worked very well for our organization because so many of the kids are, their immune systems are compromised.
yes,
It's it's kind of scary in the beginning, especially for families to have someone else coming into their home. So that virtual piece that we added really served us well, not just during the pandemic, but we kept working that way if the family wanted it moving forward.
yes,
So the counseling is that's where we were born.
yes,
Our organization came to be because the Vizzoni family, their son had cancer and they didn't have the support. And like many families do, they started an organization to kind of fill the gap that they saw.
yes,
And it started out with just general support, and it's evolved into, this full service social work and support services. And what makes us a little bit different also, I think, is that we really do tailor our package of services to the individual family. So from
yes.
family to family, it may vary, their needs may vary, and we really try and work with that. And if it's not a service we can provide, then we're working hard to connect them to other resources, whether in the pediatric cancer community or, help with utility bills or transportation or whatever the case may be. That's part of our advocacy service that we offer as well.
Yes, great work. A lot of services and a lot of different services and events that you have with clients. So must be very challenging, right? Emotionally as well as physically or logistically to be providing such services and the gifts, the planning of going in, the time. If you could go through just a bit of the hurdles that you face, the major hurdles that you face while executing these processes, Tina?
Sure, sure.
Yes,
Yeah, hurdles are some of what you said.
yes,
Geography, we're statewide.
yes,
And we have four regional offices, but not everything is close to where a family may be. So it's finding, hiring good caseworkers that can
caseworkers.
meet the needs of all different geographic regions. And time is a big factor in that. And
Yes,
that's where FieldWorker has actually
yes.
really kind of saved us in many ways because we save so much time using this system, um, that it frees us up for other things.
That's great to hear. Just before we move into technology, last question, in terms of what is what is the goal? What's the most rewarding aspect of leading the social work team at ECF? Uh, just a bit of why is it that every morning you're like, I want to do this.
It's funny, a lot of people ask me that. People say it must be such hard work
Yes,
that's, and it's challenging emotionally because, you know, we are experiencing what the families are, not to the degree they are, obviously,
yes,
but um, you know, but I consider it a privilege that these families allow us to walk beside them during what is, in all likelihood, the most dark and difficult time
yes,
of their lives. Um, so it's humbling in a way, and we get to witness their courage, their resilience, and I think what stands out for me the most is the gratitude I see. You might expect families going through this to be angry and bitter, but mm, in most cases, it's quite the opposite. And they are humble and they are grateful for everything you do or say, or just even for the day, because everything is precious. So that's for me, that is the greatest part of this job is the people that we get to connect with.
Yes. Very inspiring, right? The people, seeing them, the way
Really.
they react to this, it's
Yes.
life-changing. Great. And in terms of, before using FieldWorker and ECF, what were the different tools? Was there anything that you were using specifically in order to manage your casework, or was it all pen and paper? And some of the challenges that you faced, if we could discuss that before we move into how FieldWorker came into the process.
Yes. Yes. And it was pretty much pen and paper. There were hard copies,
Yes.
and billing was done through Excel, and everything was piecemeal.
Yes.
Whereas now it's one-stop shopping, everything in one place. Um, yeah, it was very, very time consuming because you had all these different buckets, so to speak.
Yes.
I'm doing billing over here, we're doing casework here, and the way we operate, just to give a little perspective in what it looks like for us, is that case notes are due at the end of the month. We encourage caseworkers to submit them regularly.
Yes.
However, they have until the end of the month to submit for the previous month. So with the old system, inevitably I would be, because I have to read them all, I would be reading at the end of the month. So much so I'm pretty much in lockdown because I've
Yes.
got so much on my plate in a very short window to get through. But now that is quite the opposite, because our caseworkers can enter as they go and do things, and they have the tools to do it quickly. I can be reading throughout the month, so at the end of the month, I'm not, you know, inundated with all these reports.
Yeah, it's not a lot of information that's, right there at one time, right? It's something that you can read throughout the process, throughout the month, when they do their visits or their tasks, and the notes are in there. You can always go in and check it. So that's one of the advantages of having FieldWorker. And in terms of caseworkers, right? How has FieldWorker changed the processes that they do? What are the different steps that they would normally do? And since using FieldWorker, what's the feedback from the caseworkers that you've been working with?
The feedback is very positive. I mean, of course, as with any new system,
Yes.
there's that learning curve, and especially some of the, um, you know, older caseworkers were a little resistant, but as
Yes.
they got to know the system, now they love it. So one of the greatest tools, I think, is the ability to speak your case notes. Like if you're leaving a family's home, you can use your phone as a tool to go in and just, jot down what you want to jot down, or do the full note, whatever you prefer. But, and then you can always go back and edit it later. So you get those
Yes.
main points in there. And I think that has been particularly helpful for my my group of caseworkers that are more the procrastinators, because if
Yes.
they get those initial notes in, then they can just go back and fine tune, and they're finding at the end of the month they're not buried in work.
Yes. Yes.
So that's been really helpful.
Yes, great. That's one thing we've seen as well. Half of the time is spent recollecting information of what I did in, at 2 p.m. last Tuesday. It's just better to put it right there on the mobile app, and that's what we do with most case management agencies.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. Is there a particular example, how FieldWorker, ECF, helped we could help a family more effectively or efficiently through the FieldWorker system? Is there an example that you would have?
Um, well, I
If
have a family who the child was in treatment
Yes.
and developed some challenges post-treatment, as happens, more often than we would like to see, where they end up with challenges that are not just due to the cancer itself, but due to the
Yes.
treatment. So getting all the information in a timely manner helped us to get services in place. The child ended up needing an emergency hip replacement, and helped us to kind of streamline. And I'm getting the information in real time so I can work kind of, instead of getting the information after the fact, I'm working with the caseworker
Yes.
to get some additional services. So we were able to get a secure funding for a ramp, an outdoor ramp to
Yes.
be built for that child, and for indoor stair lifts. They had a bi-level with two sets of stairs, so indoor
Yes.
stair lifts, connect them with other resources. And it just happened in a much more timely manner because I was able to get all the information in real time.
That's great to hear. Really helpful. Uh, Thank you for that, Dina. And in terms of advice, to other case management professionals or organizations, or, they've been trying in terms of looking to improve services. Every agency is trying their best, but just based off your experience, is there any advice that you would have for other case management agencies who are trying to make their processes better?
I mean, I would really recommend a system like this, because it's just, I can't even explain the savings in time, which of course equates to savings in money. Um, One thing I didn't even realize was going to come out of this, which I think is something to look at no matter what you're doing, is the analytics. We're able to get analytics on so many aspects of what we're doing. And the way that has impacted our agency. So we have a director of development, and we don't get government funding. So everything we get is private donation or grants. So
Yeah.
our grant writer being able to pull analytics on so many different aspects of our demographics and our service has enhanced her ability to write for the grants and see what we would be eligible for. Even this information would not have been readily available
Yes.
otherwise. So I don't know if I went off topic with that.
No, that's perfect. Centralized location, right? Having everything at one place
Yeah.
makes it so much easier when you can cross-reference, different instances of, okay, what happened, different changes, all of it being in a single place really does help. And that's
Yes.
one of the reasons why, we're trying to be a centralized place for everything, a one-stop shop for you. Uh,
Yes. Our
right.
billing is another thing. Like now I
Yes.
pull a report, whereas there were three other steps
Yes.
with our old system. So yeah, that has
Yeah, I think putting pieces together, right? The mileage information, the notes, all of that coming into a single screen really helps. So that's great. And in terms of Emmanuel Cancer Foundation, looking ahead, how do you see ECF continuing to evolve and help families in need? Uh, a bit of information about that would really help.
um eh, will evolve as they evolve.
Yes.
I'm very lucky to work for people who truly care about the mission of the organization. So our executive director, Joanne Pasantino, and
Yes.
our board and all of our staff, everybody is really, it's such a team. And if we see a need that we're not filling for families,
Yes.
then we sit down and say, okay, how do we do this? We brainstorm. And one of the things that we're working on, that has been evolving for us, is we used to be just, direct service to families
Yes.
individually.
Yes.
Now we have two support groups that are currently operating. We're developing other groups as well. We do psychoeducation. We do webinars, educational webinars. In fact, we just ran one a couple of hours ago on
Yes.
self-care for parents, because parents tend to, as of course, take care of their
Yes.
kids and
Focus.
forget
The
about
focus is the
themselves.
key.
But yeah, so we're always trying to broaden our horizons and meet the needs of our families in whatever way we can identify.
Yes, yes, for sure. Perfect. And in terms of, advice to other case management agencies that work with vulnerable families, pediatric cancer and a lot more aspects, is there any advice that you would have for such case management agencies?
Um, I would say, obviously listen to your client
Yes,
population and their needs and respect for their experiences, but also take care of your team because there's vicarious trauma that we all experience in this line of work, and
yes,
just really supporting your team, being there for them, whether it's through training or peer support or anything you can do to one-on-one support. I just think that's key.
very, very important, right? Keep a close-knit team. It's really important. And in terms of technology, some last question before we move forward. In terms of technology playing a role in, future of social services, do you see technology as something that would really help you make the process better? And then how does FieldWorker come in into this?
Absolutely. I mean, it
Yeah,
increases your efficiency, your ability to serve clients. If I'm speaking to my own experience, the efficiency that it creates, the time it saves for my caseworkers
yeah,
allows them to serve each one of them another family or two in the time
yeah.
they save with field worker. Um, it's just a fantastic tool. I can't say enough about it. And in terms of our experience with the field worker team, if I could just add, um, I was just I am happy with the experience that I've had because any need we have, the system it's a general system, of course, like you're trying to meet the needs of so many different types of
Yes.
agencies. But knowing that we had some specific needs or requests, the way your team has worked to meet all of those and adapt the system so it's kind of tailored to us has been really terrific and made my life in particular much easier.
That's what we're here for, right? We're trying to make your life easier. We're trying to take time, and that's what we say to all our agencies. Even case workers, their main job is not documentation, right? Their main job is way bigger than that. And we at FieldWorker try to make it easier for them to document the job that they're doing, right? Try to help them do what is needed through the system. So, and again, to your point of configurations, every agency, even though you're providing the same services, has a different way of operating, right? So we like to have agencies, come in with different requests. And there is so much you learn from other agencies as well, on the system where you see a process that might work for you, that's working for somebody else. So we try our best to get these changes in and, tailor the system according to your needs. Great. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for your time, Dina. We really
Okay, there are
appreciate
some
it.
questions as well, Sunny.
Yes,
There are some
sorry.
questions as well, Dina, that have come through, and I guess I'll take, since we were talking about technology, I'll take one of those first. That are there any specific tools or workflows in FieldWorker that your team relies on the most, Dina?
I think for the caseworkers, I would say the voice app.
Yeah.
Um,
What's
that's
next?
that's the biggest time saver, and giving them the ability to get things down on paper, so to speak, while they're fresh in their head.
Right.
Yes.
Great, great, great. Okay, that's fantastic. Now, one of the questions that has come up is quite a topical question these days as well. That caregiving itself is so difficult and so tough. So, how do you support your team emotionally, given the heavy nature of work that you do and your team does all day?
That's a great question. We are big on trying to promote a culture of self-care, for that reason. It is taxing work, taxing emotionally, even physically. So what we do is we do one-on-one support for our caseworkers. And that can look different depending on what the case is. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, some of the children we serve do not survive. So we offer bereavement work support, and we also support within. So we're supporting the caseworkers that are supporting the families through this. We have, we call it a caseworker connect, where we meet as a group and we support one another through various issues, that being one of them. And like I said, individual meetings with either me or a part of another member of our case management team.
Right, right.
And also through education, we offer a lot of continuing education and support that way.
Yep, definitely. Caregiving is so difficult. Um, Now also from a family's perspective, right? How questions they ask, how does your organization stay connected to the families that you've helped over time? Do you feel that it is important to maintain long-term relationships with those families?
So this is actually another thing that makes us somewhat unique, is that most organizations, once they either write a check or provide some form of support, they close out a family, close out a case. Families stay with us until there's no longer a cancer-related need. So we serve the population up to age 18, well, including age 18. But if we're working with a family and the child, comes on when they're 6 years old and they're now, past 18, 19, 20, 21, and there's still a need related to that diagnosis. And that could be maybe they've got physical things going on, or maybe it's, like a post-traumatic stress. Then we will stay involved with the family.
Right.
Yeah. So we're kind of in it for the long haul.
Yeah, that's great. And somebody's asking that for organizations that may not be working specifically in pediatric cancer, but still face complex family dynamics, what would you say is a transferable lesson from your work that others could possibly use and apply?
I would say, and I say this to my families, to celebrate those small victories. When you look at the big picture, it can be very overwhelming when you're facing any type of a catastrophic illness. If you celebrate those small victories, child made it through a spinal tap today, or a lumbar puncture, or a surgery, or whatever the case may be. Um, it gives you momentum to keep going forward.
Sure. That's great. That's actually a very, very, very good point. Very good point. And somebody's asked, what advice would you give to a new case manager just starting out?
To a new case manager, I would say two things are very important. Well, there are a lot of things that are very important, but just to give you something quick, just be respectful of other people's experiences and know that you really can't understand because you haven't walked in their shoes. And that's okay. You're just supporting. You don't have to fully understand to be a source of support. But also that self-care piece is so very important if you want to go, serve your families for the long haul. It is so important that you take care of yourself. We just finished a webinar where I was quoting the flight attendant on the airplane saying, you need to put your oxygen mask on because you can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. And it's just really holds true across the board. If for a social worker, you have a front row seat to so many traumas, and it is so important, so very important to take care of yourself.
Yeah, that is such a great analogy. And then these days, with the crisis that we have in care workers, caregivers, it is so difficult. Burnout, all kinds of stresses. it is critically important. So on that note, if you had a magic wand, somebody's asked to fix something in social care, how social services are delivered, what do you think? What is lacking in social services that you could fix today?
I guess if I had a magic wand, I would want a more cohesive system where there was a connection between, you know, different aspects of social work or care in general. So we work more as a team. I know there are interdisciplinary teams in different settings, but I guess something where we had that across the board with you know, in all different aspects to provide complete care for a family.
Yeah. And somebody's asked that you mentioned that the voice to text is the feature that was very useful for your caseworkers. But if you look at from an administration and management perspective, what parts of FieldWorker have been the most beneficial to you?
The way I can look at case notes, but also look at their entries for time and compare those, you know, like side by side to make sure that you know, everything gels and there's no discrepancies, and you know, for the purposes of our auditors coming in, that a time entry matches a note entry. And the other big piece for me, the old system, I would have to like go through pages to see what happened a long time ago. But here, if I want to know what happened last year, I just scroll down and there it is. It's all right there.
Right.
So, just makes it so much easier when you're trying to serve a family and if you have to look at the full picture. And if someone else is coming in, like let's say I'm on vacation and somebody is sitting in for me and they don't know the families the way I do, well, now that person just, it's at, you know, one click and you're there. You've got all the information you need.
Correct. That's great. That's great. Thank you. We are at the end of our time. So unless there are any other questions coming in last minute, we are happy to engage, continue to engage. I'm going to put our email address in the chat box as well. And if anybody wants have any further questions, they can reach out to us, and we are happy to answer any questions that we might have. And again, thank you so much, Dina, for taking time to join this webinar. We really appreciate you as somebody who's using FieldWorker, as well as who's ready to talk to other people to help them in learn from your journey. So thank you so very much. And thank you everybody for joining as well. Thank you, Sunny, and thank you, Anne, for being on this panel. And we look forward to talking to all soon.
Great.
Thank you all
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
me.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.